Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today we are going to present to you about the mass transfer in separation processes under the subject of CHE 246. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. So here is the structure of our organization in this project. The first one is Hairi. He will be presenting about the introduction. Next, moving on to Ame. He will explain to you about the laboratory experiment, and last but not least, Ashikin and I will further explain to you about the industrial application.
Mass transfer is the net movement of mass from one location to another where the component exists in different concentration. Mass transfer occurs in many processes such as absorption, evaporation, drying, precipitation, and distillation. Mass transfer is used by different scientific disciplines for different processes and mechanisms. Some common examples of mass transfer process are the evaporation of water from the pond to the atmosphere. In industrial processes, mass transfer operation includes separation of chemical components in a distillation column. Absorber such as scrubbers or stripping. One of the mass transfer mechanism is molecular diffusion. What is molecular diffusion? Molecular diffusion, also known as molecular transport, can be defined as the transfer or movement of individual molecules through a fluid by means of random individual movement of the molecules. The molecules will travel or transfer only in straight lines, and in the process will most likely collide with other molecules in their path. The molecules typically go straight, they collide and change direction, and also will pass the kinetic energy to other molecules and so on. The molecules then change direction, which is still remain in a straight line after the collision. This is somehow referred as random walk process. The movement is kinetic movement is due to the thermal energy or internal energy. Increasing temperature favor increase in thermal energy, therefore increase in rate of diffusion. Decreasing pressure favor decrease in collision. This is because they have more spaces, therefore they will travel longer until they will collide. Molecular diffusion can happen at any state or phase, which is in solids, liquids, or gases. In industrial process, mass transfer operation include separation of chemical components in distillation column. What is distillation? Distillation unit operation is the most widely used separation unit operation in the chemical industry. It is also known as fraction or fractional distillation, and its principle of operation is a separation of two or more constituents in a mixture that is based on difference in volatility. Inside the distillation column, there are two phases, liquid and vapor, where the liquid will be at bubble point. That means the temperature close to vaporization, while for the vapor it will be at dew point, a temperature or condition that is close to condensation. And these two phases will contain the same constituents or components but at different concentration or compositions. The mass got transferred between vapor and liquid through evaporation for liquid and through condensation for vapor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Hi, my name is Amir Muzaffar. For laboratory experiment, we will see how a steam distillation works. Most essential oil is produced by steam distillation. It is the best way to take freshly harvested or dried plant and extract pure essential oil. So this is the apparatus for steam distillation. At the bottom, reservoir is filled with distilled water, and above is an alembic chamber that holds plant material, often called as biomass. In the biomass, full of tiny sacs that contain pure essential oil. When the water boils, the steam passes through up to the chamber. As the steam passes through up, the biomass, the temperature causes the tiny sacs to extract essential oil. The essential oil rises up with the steam through a tube. The tube then passes through a cold condensing chamber. The cold temperature changes the steam back into liquid, then going to the new reservoir. The water, which called as hydrosol, is left at the bottom. The liquid collects into a new reservoir which water and oil are separated naturally by phase separation. This is because the oil has lower density than water. And lastly, the essential oil can be collected and bottled.
And for the largest scope in the separation process, the industrial refining process of crude petroleum is one of the chemical engineering processes that apply the separation concept. Petroleum refining process is a process where once the crude oil is extracted from the ground, it must be undergoing the refining process to obtain a useful product such as the liquefied petroleum gas, which is the LPG, gasoline, kerosene, fuel oil and jet fuel. The process of petroleum refining involving 3 steps, which is the separation of water, removal of sulfur compound and also fractionation. From the separation of water, the petroleum will undergo 2 highly charged electrodes where the water drops will be emitted and separated from the petroleum. Next, for the sulfur compound removal, the oil that has been separated from the water will be treated with the copper oxide chemical where the copper sulfate precipitate will be formed and is removed through the filtration process.
So next, as well as Ashikin have told us before, the next separation process is the fractional distillation. This process actually is fairly simple but is powerful in the way that it separates all the different complex components of crude oil. So the first step is the crude oil is heated to vaporize heat and is fed into the bottom of a distillation tower, and the resulting vapor then rises through the vertical column. As the gases rise through the tower, the temperature decreases. And as the temperature decreases, certain hydrocarbons begin to condense and run off at different levels. So each fraction that condenses off at a certain level contains hydrocarbon molecules with a similar number of carbon atoms. So these boiling point cuts actually allow several hydrocarbons to be separated out in a single process. And it is this cooling with the height of the tower that allows for the separation process to occur. So that's all from us. Thank you.